Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Mom of Two, Wife of One. Did you guys see last night's episode of Married at First Sight? If you didn't, then you came to the right place. Because here on my channel, as you see in the description, I'm going to give you a review and recap of Married at First Sight, season 14, episode something or other. A lot of crap happened last night. A lot of lying, a lot of misdirection, a lot of attitudes, a lot. So I'm going to go couple by couple. I mean, obviously, the biggest drama with one particular couple, I'm going to wait to talk about them a little bit later. But we're going to start kind of easy. So I'm going to start with Noi and Steve. I will say this. After last night, not that I had any feelings prior to last night, but I really like Steve as a person. It's just something about his personality. He seems very chill, very easygoing. I thought it was interesting that his father described him to Noi as a vagabond. I thought that was very interesting. But I love that, oh, to catch you guys up, after they get married, they have their first, wedding nights together. And it doesn't seem like any of the couples had sex on their wedding night either. But basically, the next morning, the couples will separately go have breakfast with their new in laws. So Noi had breakfast with Steve's mother and father. But I loved that his father is the one that brought up the fact that Steve doesn't have a job, just trying to gauge Noi's reaction to it and just to kind of, let her know, like, hey, this is a process. He doesn't have a job right now. How do you feel about that? Yeah, he's kind of a vagabond, but he's smart, he's whatever. And I was telling my husband about this, and he was like, I don't think I like the fact that the father put his business out there. But I was like, it'd be different if Noi didn't know he didn't have a job, then I would have an issue with it. But she and Steve talked about it on the wedding day. So I was completely here for it. I liked how emotional she got when she talked about Steve wearing her family, as it was a sash that was representative of her country, of I believe it's Laos. And I love that. So I really like the two of them together. They seem to have chemistry. They're attracted to each other, but it seems very natural. Nothing seems forced. The whole thing about him not having a job is like his thing. Every season, each person, I'm just each couple, each individual has something that is their thing, something that the editors or the producers are going to focus on. So for Steve, it's going to be the fact that he does not have a job. Now, granted, he freelances, so it's not like he's just sitting around twiddling his thumbs. He freelances, and some freelancers make more money than people who have a steady, stable job. So I think the fact that he freelances is not a bad thing. And I think they're definitely going to downplay that a lot because it just sounds like a better story to say, oh, this man, it hasn't worked and he has no interest in getting a job. And it's like, well, freelance means that you work for several people and it means you work for yourself and set your own hours. Because it was interesting when he met with her family, they were, and I'm sure it was the way it was edited, but they made it seem like it was rapid fire questions at him. It definitely felt like he was facing a firing squad. Like, oh, so what are you going to do about a job? Oh, what are you going to do about financial, security? What are your views on this? Do you want kids? And granted, that's what they're supposed to do. The family met you at the wedding the day before. If they got a chance to talk to you, they didn't get a chance to talk to you that long. So, of course, this is the one-on-one time without the interference of Noi to ask you point blank, what are your intentions? What are you bringing to the table? What's going on? So, I still like them. I like the way they look together. I really like how natural they seem with each other. They cuddled last night. Like I said, they think each other is cute and they hold hands and they kiss. So I like the two of them together. Not a lot happened with them, but I like them. So I wanted to start with something positive because all the other couples didn't necessarily piss me off, but everyone else did have a little something where I'm like, but Noi and Steve actually didn't. I actually was okay with what happened with them. Okay, I'm gonna go next to, I think, Jasmina and Michael. I like the two of them, but it was interesting. They had their first disagreement when they got to the honeymoon. The honeymoon, by the way, they were sent to Puerto Rico, which I've actually always wanted to go to and never been. So I thought that was cool that they got the chance to do that. But they had their first disagreement, and it was the mildest disagreement I've ever heard in my life. And the fact that Jasmine was like, I can't believe we had our first disagreement already. But it literally was like talking in that same tone, no raised voices, literally just a difference of opinion. So before they get to the honeymoon, they meet with each other's family. So she meets with two of his sisters. He has five sisters, comes from a huge family, but his mother and his father and his grandmother have all passed away. So meeting with his sisters. I love his sisters. They are so welcoming and so kind and so just generous. And they're like, yo, he can be a lot sometimes. Be patient with him though. Sometimes it takes him a while to open up, but I know that it's in him. He's a really good guy. Just be patient with him. So I love that they weren't sugarcoating his faults. And I love that they're showing the utmost confidence in her and basically letting her know, like, hey, you're our family now. We love you too. So whatever we can do, we're here for you. And signing up for this process is already very daunting. It's already very stressful and all of that. Having the undying support of your family can go a really, really long way. Because if things don't work out, the last thing you need are the naysayers who were naysayers from the beginning getting in your face like, well, I told you should sign up for that show and this is what you get. You need people in your corner who are going to encourage you to look at yourself in the mirror, who are going to encourage you to ask hard questions. They're going to encourage you to stick it out because they know that you both signed up for this process for a reason. The experts matched you guys up for a reason. So if you want to get the most out of this process, the least you can do is put your best foot forward for this entire 8 weeks. And then after 8 weeks, if you feel like you did your best and they did their best and things still aren't working out, then hey, you can both walk away with a healthy conscience. But you need your family and you need supportive friends in your life who are going to encourage you to stick around and just encourage you to actually try. So I really like his sisters. They seem to really provide that love and that support. And not that, Jasmina is one of 9. So now that she doesn't have support on her end. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Support on her end. So one of my favorite people, I don't want to call them characters because these are obviously real people. One of my favorite people from last night's episode is Jasmina's mama. She is a ride or die mama. She loves her daughter. She's like, her safety is of the utmost importance to me. But I loved the way she talked to Michael. She didn't talk down to him. I thought she was very respectful in things that she said, but she was very open and honest. I love my daughter. And, to be honest, the things you're saying, they sound nice, but it's all superficial because I still don't know you. Which she doesn't, and which is completely fair. And I also love the questions that she asked Michael. She asked some really good, hard-hitting questions that I've actually never heard one of the parents on this show ask anybody, whether it's their child or another, the child's spouse. I've never heard the parents ask. She asked him, what examples of marriage did you see growing up? That's a question that a counselor or a therapist typically asks a couple before marrying them. And I thought that was so good because that tells you a lot. When you first get married, like for instance, my husband and I, when we first got engaged, my parents have been married this year, actually be 40 years that they've been married. His mother and biological father were never married, but his stepfather's been in his life since he was a teenager. So we got to see marriage, we got to grow up with marriage in our household. Those marriages obviously look very different. And for he and I, when we first got engaged, we discussed specifically what are things from our parents' marriages that we absolutely do not want to bring into our own marriage. We didn't look at the good stuff. We just focused on the bad stuff because any good stuff we want to create in our own. We're not trying to recreate what somebody else has, but we do want to make sure we don't repeat any mistakes that we may have seen. And not even mistakes, I shouldn't say that. But every person is different. Every marriage is different. So some things that my parents did and his parents did just may not necessarily fly between the two of us. So we sat down and had a long conversation about it, and it went a long way in figuring out what kind of marriage we actually want with each other. So the fact that Jasmina asked Michael that question, I thought was very key. And he was very open and honest in his response. He said, I've actually never had a image of marriage. I've never seen it. But my sisters and my mom, my grandmother, they did teach me to be a protector and to be a provider. And while those are very good traits to have as a husband, it is key to understand that a lot of men feel that that's their role in the marriage, that I'm supposed to be this protector for my family, this provider and all that stuff. That's not a bad thing, but you and your spouse have to be on the same page about what they want your role to be in the marriage. Because marriage, obviously, it's two people. In this case, it's a husband and a wife. So you can have it in your mind all day long, the kind of husband you want to be. But if you marry a wife who doesn't require that from you, then it requires you to change your thinking and change your position somewhat. She may not necessarily need you to be the protector. she may need you to be the nurturer. And then you have to decide if you're able to do that for her. So that's what I mean by every marriage is different. Everyone requires something different in the relationship. And, her mom said that. She was like, that's all well and good what you're saying. But I fear that because you haven't seen marriage, you may have some unrealistic expectations of what a marriage is and what a wife is supposed to be and do. Very interesting questions. I completely agree with her 100%. And I love that she said that to him, because hopefully that's something he'll mull over and something that he'll talk to Jasmina about, to get really down and dirty with it. Because sometimes on the show, I feel like they're so excited to be a husband, or so excited to be a wife, or so excited to be married or whatever, that they don't necessarily ask those questions. And I think that's a great question to ask on the honeymoon. This is the time when you're away from your family and friends, you're on vacation, drinks are flowing, food, all that stuff, going on adventures. This is a great time to sit and have these deep conversations about, not only why did you sign up for the show, because they all ask that. And it's like, okay, that's nice. Now that I know why you signed up for the show and you know why I'm here, let's talk about what kind of marriage you want to have. And I'll tell you what kind of marriage I've always dreamed about. And then let's figure out how we can meet in the middle. I feel like not enough couples have that conversation. And if you have the conversation in the beginning of the marriage, during the honeymoon, or maybe when you first come back home, it would change a lot in the way you communicate with each other throughout the remaining 8 weeks. So maybe that's something the experts should start encouraging them to do. Maybe that's something family and friends should encourage them to do. But I think that would really go a long way. But nothing really big happened with them. Their disagreement that they had was about perceptions. I guess Michael's sisters told Jasmina that sometimes he looks at the glass basically as half empty. He kind of expects the worst in a situation in hopes that he won't be disappointed. To kind of, it's almost like he's putting his guard up, expecting something bad to happen. Where she is more of optimistic, and I'm going to go into this believing that it's going to be great and wonderful. And if something bad happens, I'll deal with it, but I'm not going into the situation expecting that. So they had a little disagreement about that. Not a huge disagreement, but I understood what she was saying about how this could be potentially a red flag. Because if they have an argument, she doesn't want him thinking in his head, oh, okay, I should have known we're going to have an argument. I should have known that this wasn't going to work out. And then have it in his mind already that it's not going to work out, and then him not try anymore. As opposed to going into this with the best of intentions and the best of expectations, and working towards whatever they actually want, and working through any arguments or disagreements. So I don't think it's a huge deal. I can kind of see where she's coming from, but being a little cautious about his mindset. But I think that comes with time. That comes with being around each other and influencing each other. Not saying that she should make it her goal to change him, or that he should make his goal to change her. Because I think neither of them are necessarily wrong in their thinking. I think sometimes you do need to expect the worst in some situations, but other times you do need to walk in believing, this is going to work out and this is going to be okay. So I'm not leaning towards one side or the other. And again, I'm not saying that you try to change each other, but I think the longer you're with somebody, the more they rub off on you in certain ways. So even if he doesn't completely become this optimistic, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed person that thinks everything is going to be gravy and rainbows and sunshine all the time, even if he just has some moments of believing that, I think that would be enough for her. So I didn't think it was a huge deal, and I think they're basically going to be okay. Oh, Lord. Now, the last 3 couples. Whew. You know what? We're going to do the mess right now. We're going to do Alyssa and Chris. If you guys did not see last week's episode, first of all, pause this video and then go look at the video I posted last week to talk about Alyssa and Chris. I don't even know where to start with them. Okay, I'll say this first. Every season, there is a person or a couple that is the villain. Alyssa is the villain. So far. Now, granted, they just got married and just went on the honeymoon, so it's still very early in the series, but right now Alyssa's the villain. That could change because other villains could come out of nowhere, but she's the villain right now. Her main issue is that she forgot that she signed up for a show. She thinks that she signed up to just get married and, okay, I'm going to get married. Oh, he's not attractive. Oh, okay, well, I'll just say this was fun and we're not going to work out. She forgot somehow that this was a show with cameras in your face. And all of a sudden now she's shy and she wants to be private and I don't want to say this and I don't want to do this. You signed up for this show. And it's not a show you can sign up for on a whim. It's not like you signed up at the beginning of the month, January, let's say 1st, and now it's January 27th. And oh my gosh, I can't believe my stuff is on there and your cameras are in my. No, this is a very long process to fill out the paperwork, to go through the interviews, go through the screenings, whatever, have them do the home visit, then they match you with somebody. All of that is a very long process. So you mean to tell me in the midst of this entire process, months long process, not to mention the fact that this show was in its 14th season. This is not a brand new phenomenon that they're trying out for kicks. This is the 14th season of Married at First Sight. You know this is a reality show. You know that all the footage they get of the couples on their honeymoon, in their bedroom, at home, going on vacation, visiting family, you know that that footage comes from an actual camera because there's an actual crew following them around because this is an actual reality show. You know this because you signed up for it. Now you signed up for it and now it's too much and oh my gosh and no. And one thing I cannot stand, I don't like this for any woman, but especially a white woman playing the victim. Now, not to say that white women and women in general aren't victims sometimes, because they definitely are. But that's why I specifically said playing the victim. Playing the victim means that in your mind, you have been wronged. Everybody else is against you. Oh my gosh, poor me. How could they do this to me? That's what she is doing, and it is not fair to Chris. Chris is going to be like Gil from last season, where everyone's going to rally behind him because they see that he is this nice guy who is there just to be married, to have this great wife, to be this great husband. That is why Chris is here. It is not fair. So many things. So it boils down to the fact that she's not attracted to him, right? Just not attracted to him. That happens sometimes, whatever. But she's not being honest with him and she's not being clear with him on the other things that are bothering her. His groomsmen said some stuff to her last week that she didn't like about his personality, how he likes to like talk to people all the time, likes to teach people stuff because he's a natural teacher, but as a result of him being a natural teacher, sometimes it may come off as condescending. She took this one conversation, at least the one conversation that we saw, took that one conversation and ran with it and was like, oh, we don't vibe together and we're not this and he's not this and I don't look, all of this. And it turns to this whole big thing off of that one comment, which was weird. So of course it has us thinking as viewers that maybe we missed something. Maybe there's something else that she heard that has her having this reaction, because the one little bit she heard doesn't sound like a big deal. And what bothers me, not even the most, because a lot of her bothers me. In her vows, and when her family and friends were describing her, she kept saying over and over again, I am honest, I am direct, I speak my mind. If that's the case, then as soon as you heard whatever those groomsmen said in your ear, your first stop was to go find Chris to say, hey, I just had a conversation with the groomsmen and they said something that I'm not overly comfortable with. And I want to get it out in the open now to let you know that if this is true, I don't really respond well to it. And Chris, being the kind of person he is, he's so eager to be married and so eager to make his wife happy. I know that he would take it in stride, but like, oh, okay, well, you know what? I'll try my best not to do that to you. If I do, definitely please call me on it because I don't want you to feel any type of way. Situation resolved, that would have been it. But the fact that she couldn't even do that leads me to believe that there's other stuff there. So they spend their wedding night alone. Yeah, alone, not together, alone, different rooms, all that stuff. What I like about Chris a lot is that he is just as honest and direct as she claims to be, because he's asking her the tough questions. And he said, we talked off camera, and basically all she said was, we're not vibing. That's all she said. No specific information, no specifics that, I don't think I'm attracted to you, or you're not usually my type. I don't know if I can get past this. She kind of pussyfooted around the issues, which leaves him confused. Like, I thought we had a great day. I thought we were cool. We were vibing. We were chilling. I thought we were great. Now I hear from you that we're not good, and I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what that means. And he asked her straight up, and I wrote it down because I loved it. I was like, yes, Chris, speak up. So I love that for him, that he is as open and honest, like, again, as she claims to be. I thought that was amazing. So he said he's worried that she's checked out already. And, she keeps pointing out the differences, like, oh, we have different hobbies and the way we live our lives are totally different. How do you know how he lives his life? You've known this man for all of 18 hours. What could you possibly know about how he lives his life? It just seemed like she acted like they've been dating for months and, oh, this isn't going anywhere. Why are we still doing this? It's been literally less than 48 hours or 24, whatever. It's been like 2 days. What are you talking about? This makes no sense. But he basically was like, what do you see happening here? Because I thought we had a good day. It feels like you've checked out. Do you want to just end things right here? He gave her an out before they even went on the honeymoon, before they even knew what honeymoon they were going to go on. He said, do you want to get out of this thing? And her response, which pissed me off because she said it several times, she's basically like, I think that I don't know what's going to happen in the next few days or in the next 8 weeks. And I think that we should just go through the process. And no matter what the result is, let's just go through the process and try to have a positive experience. That in no way says that I am willing to work to see why we're matched. I am willing to work on my marriage with you. I am willing to try my best to see if there can be a spark here. She said none of this. What she basically said was some PR fodder, and the result is, okay, I'm not going to stay married to you at the end of this. I already know that. But you know what? Let's just go through the process. Let's, go on the honeymoon that they're paying for. Let's move into this apartment that they're going to pay for. Let's just, enjoy this experience for what it is. And at the end, we can part ways and we can say it was positive and fun and keep it pushing. He did not sign up for a roommate. No. If you're not willing to work on the marriage part of this, and you're not willing to say, I want to be married, I want to be a wife, I want to know what that's like, I'm going to try my best. It's hard for me right now, but I'm going to try. If that's not your mindset, who cares about you having a positive experience? He's not trying to have an experience. He's trying to have a lifetime partner. She is so selfish. She has not once in these 2 days thought about how he is feeling. All she's thinking to herself is, I'm not attracted to this man, therefore we're not going to stay married. So let me just have my fun for these 8 weeks and then go back on about my business. She's not thinking, dag, I'm feeling this way, and yes, it's messed up, but he's outside while I'm fussing at the producers. He doesn't know what's going on. He seems so excited to be married. I wish I could be as excited as him. I wish that I could give him a better experience. Hasn't crossed her mind at all. None of what he's possibly going through has ever crossed her mind. Because she didn't say, I'm sorry that I feel this way. I'm sorry that you're along for this. I wish things were different. None of that. She is the victim. Everything is happening to me. Woe is me. How do you think this man feels? He got married. He was so excited to sign up for the show, to be a husband. He saw you, thought you were beautiful. My husband says she's a strong four at best. I don't think she's that cute. I don't think he's that cute either necessarily, but you can look past that. He's not the most unattractive person in the world. He's really not. But this man is at the altar so excited. He sees you. He thinks you're pretty. He's just giddy and excited to get to know you. He seems like he has genuinely a good heart. And all he has to show for it is a ring on his finger and a wife that he still has not shared a bed with. Not even shared a room with at this point, because they didn't spend the wedding night together. And when we get to the honeymoon, she says, well, I'm not comfortable sharing a room with someone I don't know. Again, did you forget that you were signing up for a show where you are getting married. So what did you expect was going to happen once you married this person that you don't know? Did you expect that you guys were going to have separate rooms, separate houses? Again, 14th season of the show, the couples live together because they are married. You actually signed a marriage license. You actually went and bought a ring for your husband. So you can't say, I'm not comfortable sharing a room with someone I don't know. A, get over that. This is your husband. And B, you don't know him because you refuse to try to get to know him. You already heard stuff from whoever, people at the wedding. You heard stuff that you didn't like. He talked about hobbies that aren't yours. Who cares? That's another thing. When you are getting married, it is not necessary. In fact, I think it may be a little detrimental if you try to marry somebody who has all of your exact same interests. That is boring. He does sports, he likes outdoor stuff or whatever, and she likes stuff with animals. That's fine. You do your stuff over there, I would do myself over here, and we'll meet in the middle and we'll go to dinner and have a date night and keep it pushing. Who cares if his hobbies are different from yours? You're not supposed to have hobbies in common. That doesn't have to be what pulls you guys together. That doesn't have to be the glue to your relationship, is that, oh, we both like to play hockey. No. That's such a juvenile thing to focus on. And again, maybe there's something that I'm missing and there are bigger issues at play other than his hobbies and his looks. Because another thing she complained about, and again, when she's complaining about these things, she's not complaining about it to him. She's saying it on camera, saying it to whoever off camera, but she's not saying it to him. So who knows if he knows at all how she feels. But she mentioned how he doesn't have a good work-life balance because work is so important. I mean, he works really hard, and I'm going to have to be a priority. Again, if you have not talked to her, if you have not talked to him and said these things to him, that means you're not even giving him a chance to make any adjustments. A. B, if he has never been married before, he's never had to change his priorities around. But obviously, as a husband, even when people get married and people become parents, everything in your life shifts and changes. The things you did before are no longer as important because now something else is taking that place in terms of priority. So he's never had to have work-life balance necessarily because he didn't have a wife he was coming home to, but now he does. So now he's going to make that adjustment to make sure he is there for his wife. You didn't even give him a chance. You didn't talk to this man, and you didn't give him a fighting chance to make some changes. Again, it's been 2 days. He's not working. You're going straight from the wedding to having brunch with the in-laws to going on the honeymoon, and then you can come home and you start living your lives, and then you can see if he has life balance, and then you can see how he is as a husband. You have not given this man a chance. Okay? She met up with his family, didn't ask them any real questions about him, didn't tell them anything either. He met with her mom and best friend and told them, last night was long. He didn't say we didn't sleep in the same room. He didn't say, I don't think she likes me, whatever. He's basically like, I feel like she just sees me as a friend. And, she seems kind of shut down. And he's telling them this because he wants to get feedback from them. He does not know Alyssa. She doesn't know him either. He does not know her well enough to know her moods, to know what her mind is. He does not know these things. So obviously, if I have an audience with her mother and her best friend and she's not around, yes, I'm going to talk to you all because you all obviously know her better than I do. Tell me what I can do in the situation. Tell me what this means because I can't read her just yet because I'm just meeting her. And she claimed that was just so disrespectful. I would never do that to you. I would never tell our business to your family. Again, first of all, I didn't think it was disrespectful at all because he didn't dog her. He wasn't calling her any names. He simply was like, this is a situation. I need your advice on what to do from here on out. That's basically all that happened. I didn't think it was not a shred of disrespect in that. And then to say, I would never do that to you. Well, how the heck would he know? You don't talk to this man. So how is he supposed to know what you would or wouldn't do or what you did or didn't say to his family? How is he supposed to know? You don't say jack to him. And then the honeymoon comes up. They, go to the honeymoon or whatever. And Everybody else has their little video cameras out, and they're like, yeah, with my wife and with my husband, it's our first plane ride together. Woohoo, Puerto Rico, here we go, blah, blah. You see all the couples in the little video thing. My man Chris does his video by himself. He was like, I think I saw Alyssa walk past me and get on the van. She walked past him and didn't say a word to him. And then the other couples, like when they get to the resort, they're going to get some drinks. So they're walking to this like little small cliff and looking at the water. And all the couples are holding hands or walking beside each other. Chris and Alyssa are this far apart. They are not talking to each other. I should say she. She's not talking to him. She's not acknowledging him. She's acting like, oh, we're on vacation. And even when he talked about the honeymoon and like, what are you looking forward to? She was like, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing the other couples. I'm looking forward to relaxing. What he wanted to hear was, I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. For better or for worse, you are my husband. I'm looking forward to getting to know you as my husband and hopefully learning more about you and blah, 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 blah. She didn't mention anything about him when she talked about what she was looking forward to on this honeymoon. Because in her mind, it's not a honeymoon. In her mind, we're going on a trip with a bunch of other people. It's going to be great. I'm going to sleep on the beach and I'm just going to have fun with all these other people. Didn't mention him at all. And one thing I hate is that Chris is definitely going to, I love that he speaks his mind, but he's definitely going to try to bend over backwards just to make her happy, which I hate because she has done nothing to show that she deserves that. Not a daggone thing. He's like, oh, you know, I would love to go. What about if we go shopping? She's like, I don't really like shopping. Okay, well, you know, what about if we do this? She's like, I'm not going to go to the beach. Okay, well, hanging on the beach is cool too. And it's like, but she's basically saying, like, I want to go to the beach by myself and hang out. I'm not necessarily trying to do anything with you. Then you're not really trying. So why are we going on this honeymoon? What's the point of you being there if you don't even really plan on spending any time with me? And that's the other thing. Oh, this woman. They get to the room. They're on the balcony. And that's when she says, I'm not comfortable staying in the room with you. And he basically he blows up kind of, sort of, but he doesn't raise his voice at all. There's no yelling, no screaming, no name calling, none of that. He's like, I honestly feel like you're not trying at all. Like, I feel like you're not putting forth an effort. So I don't really know what we're doing here. I feel like you've already mentally checked out of this marriage and you didn't give us a fighting chance. She says, I have been trying. Are you calling me a liar? And just like that, she turned herself into the victim and she turned it around on him like, this is your fault. Let me tell you all the reasons why you are the reason why we're in this space right now. That's as soon as she said, are you calling me a liar? She immediately tried to flip it. And he said, yeah. I was like, go ahead, Chris. I like that he stands up for himself sometimes, but he needs to stand up for himself a lot more. But he said, yeah. She's like, I'm not going to do this for you. I'm not going to stand here and have you call me a liar. I'm a good person. No. If you have to claim that, then you're not. And you did. When did you try in 2 days? When did you try to be a good wife or try in this marriage or try to get to know him? She was just like, and then she was like, I think, well, I don't know what's going to happen the next 7 days, but I think if, there's respect there, because you kept calling him disrespectful for talking to her mom and her best friend. No, he wasn't, but whatever. She was like, I think if there's some respect here for the next, few days or next week, then, maybe we can have fun and maybe, things will be okay. Actually, she didn't say we. I think in her whole statement, she didn't mention anything about we, you, I, or marriage. It's like, hope if there's respect here that the trip can be enjoyable. That's basically what she said. But you were on your honeymoon. You're not on vacation by yourself. You're not even on vacation with your friends. You don't know them other chicks like that. And guess what? They're on their honeymoon. So they are not going to try to be all up under you the whole time either. They're going to be with their husbands. You're supposed to be with your husband. Why are you not with your husband? I don't like her at all. I feel bad for Chris. I hate that he's allowing her to drive this boat. Instead of saying, I don't know if she really wants to work on it. I can't tell. I'm getting mixed signals, blah, blah, blah. You need to decide if you want to work on it. They matched you with somebody who clearly who clearly only wanted to get married on their terms. And if that's the case, you should not sign up for Married at First Sight because that's out of your control. You don't know who you're going to get paired with. If you're that controlling and that anal and that all of that, then you should have gone about marriage the traditional way, in a way that you can control and you can pick whoever you want and you can mold them to whoever you want to be, and that would be that. You should never have signed up for this. It does not make sense that you are here. So now Chris is being dragged through this with you. And he's basically, again, going to have a glorified roommate. Because actually, maybe not even have. There's no guarantee that when they go back to Boston, that she's even going to want to share an apartment with you. She may be like, oh, well, I think it's best if I stay in my apartment. And, I think that would just be best for all of us. And she also said something that pissed me off on the balcony. She was like, look, the situation sucks. We just don't vibe. We have nothing in common. Like, dude, we are not compatible. I got gypped, you got gypped. And he's probably like, up until this moment, I didn't think I got gypped. I was perfectly fine with the wife that I got. So don't put your stuff on me and say, like, this sucks for both of us. No, I was cool. I actually like you. I had a good time at the wedding. You're the one that's tripping. I wasn't tripping at all until this moment. So, and I loved that he put a name to him. He basically left and was getting frustrated. Like, you know what? Whew, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna get my own room. When I tell you, I would have been petty. Get your own freaking room. This is the honeymoon suite. They booked it for us. I'm still married. I'm still in this. You decide you don't want to be here. That's fine. You go and pay for your own freaking room. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm definitely gonna be the petty person. I'm not getting my own room for what? The show paid for this room. I'm staying here. You want to go somewhere else? Go that way. I'm staying here. That's just me. Again, I can be petty. But when he walked to his room or walked to the elevator, he was like, I think she's gaslighting me. And I love that, because not often do we hear men, unless the man's a therapist, we don't often hear men using that term and using it correctly and really recognizing it. And I love that he understood what was happening and was like, no, she just gaslit me. The stuff that she's saying, no, she backed me up into a corner and made herself the victim, like it's my fault or everybody else's fault and she's miserable and let's make her feel better. I'm not happy right now either. I signed up to be married and my wife does not like me. How am I supposed to feel about that? So obviously we know they're not going to make it, but she's so frustrating. And I saw a comment from someone and they were like, I really hope that they don't drag this out the next 8 weeks like they did for Paige and Chris 2 seasons ago. I hope not either, because that was so painful to watch with Paige and Chris. In that case, Paige was she was the victim. She was completely bullied and blindsided by Chris. And I really don't want to see this Chris from this season. I don't want him getting bullied and blindsided by Alyssa. That'd be too much. So that's not necessary to have on TV. That's damaging in a lot of ways. Not in a lot of ways, just damaging, period. So I hope they don't do that. Now we're talking about Olajuwon and Katina. I feel like Olajuwon is trying really hard to be serious about being a husband. That's not a bad thing, but I feel like in trying too hard, you can easily disappoint yourself and easily be very overwhelming for your new spouse. What I mean by that is, one of the things he did when they got back to the hotel room, he's like, I feel like your walls are up. I'm your husband. You can talk to me. And she's like, I know, but, I've been hurt before. He's like, I know, but I would never hurt you. I'm your husband. It's like, okay, you've been her husband for all of 2 days. You're pushing. Yes, husband and wife, your guard should be down. You should be vulnerable. You should be comfortable being vulnerable with your spouse. All of that's completely true. That does not happen in 2 days. Especially not just married for 2 days, but I've known you the same amount of time we've been married. That takes time, boo. Don't push her. And so I think because he's just so eager, because he's never had this before, he's so eager to do it right and so eager to like be there for her. And yes, I got your back and it's going to be wonderful. Blah, blah, blah. Relax. Calm down. If we're actually going to like do this, in theory, we're going to be married for a very long time. We have time. Yes, we have an 8-week thing, but that doesn't mean all my walls have to come down in 8 weeks. That just means that you have to continuously be patient with me in those 8 weeks, and gradually those walls be chipped away by you showing your actions, by you showing me what kind of husband you plan to be to me. All of that will happen in time. But for now, again, let's relax. Let's take it easy. So I think sometimes he can be a little much, and I know he, has ADHD, so I don't want to blame everything on that, but He definitely seems like he's a bit much sometimes. And it's interesting. So this is, I was confused. For brunch, she met up with his second mom or some mother figure who's a white woman. His real mother is white, but she's not on the show. So I don't know if she purposely does not want to be on the show, or I said this before jokingly that she might be wanted by the law or something like that, or maybe she's in witness protection. Who knows? But I feel like they didn't have a real meaningful conversation necessarily. So it was kind of like not even worth talking about. It's like, okay, this is different. He met up though with her friends, and her male friend is not feeling Elijah one. I thought it was very interesting because I feel like that doesn't happen. I feel like that doesn't happen too often. Where you have two black men on the show where the same age, their peers, and obvious friction and tension. And I think Elijah Wan stood his ground and was like, hey, if you don't believe me, if you think I'm, spouting BS, like call me on myself. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I ain't got no problem setting you straight. But, if you feel like I'm not doing right, let me know. And the guy was like, I think he's full of BS. And I think he's just here for clout or basically just here to be seen. I don't think he's serious about it. And obviously, it's hard to tell someone's true intentions in the first 2 days and just in the first time really having a conversation with each other. So obviously, you can't really tell. You're going based off your instincts. You're going based off of what he's saying. But Olajuwon can still be nervous. And again, he's been married for less than 18 hours. So he's still kind of feeling his way through. His intentions of being on the show may be completely pure, but he's never been married before. So it's going to take time. So I'm not going to fault him for that conversation with her friends. It's like, eh. So this is where things get interesting. And I'm still very unclear about what this all means. So my understanding, they all get on the plane. All the couples are on the same plane to go to the honeymoon, Puerto Rico. Lindsay, who's one of the other brides, she's the last couple, Lindsay and Mark. She, I guess, asked Olajuwon, does he speak Spanish? He said, I speak a little bit, but not a lot. So here I'm going to speak English because that's what I'm comfortable speaking. And she said something like, well, no, you got to speak Spanish. Like, this is their native land and this is what they speak and da-da-da. Now, from my understanding, that's the basis of the conversation. But he took it as, you're not my mother. Stop telling me what to do. We're all grown here. And so this conversation, mind you, the actual conversation was not filmed. So what we see is everybody getting on this huge van to go to the resort. But we see Lindsay and Mark going to a different like limo or something to take them to the resort. They're not getting on the van with everybody else. So we see that and the producers are confused. So the producers get on the bus. And it's another thing. Married at First Sight. Y'all have done this for the past 2 seasons. The producers are not part of the show. They're part, I take that back. They are part of the show. They're a vital part of the show. And the producers, if any of you guys watch me, hi, how are you? Love the show. I appreciate everything you guys do. But you guys are not the cast. And I feel like the past 2 or 3 seasons, you guys have been more in front of the camera than ever before. And I think that takes away from them because it's supposed to be a reality show. It's supposed to be seeing them living their lives. But when they're taking the time to have an aside with the producer, it reminds us all that it's a show. And it kind of takes me out of it just a little bit because then you start thinking, well, how much of what they're doing is acting and how much of it is actually being themselves with their new spouse? It takes me out of it. Needless to say, the producers are on the bus talking to the cast, and Olajuwon is basically saying, yeah, Lindsay was in our face saying this stuff, and we're all grown here. Like, I told her, like, you want to talk to somebody, talk to your husband, and don't be telling us what to do, and blah, blah, blah. So it escalated, but again, it wasn't recorded, so I don't know how bad it escalated, but I guess she said it was jokingly, but she mentioned something about, like, I'll fight you, or, oh, we should fight, or something like that. So then Katina, of course, got into it because, she got her man's back. Like, no, I don't appreciate that. Da, da, da. And I'm sure it wasn't just that this is my man. I'm sure in her mind, she sees a white woman coming for this black man, constantly picking at him or whatever. Because if he blows up, all people are going to see is this big, angry black man getting on the poor white woman. So I think Katina, just her mind was fixated on that picture, and that's why she kind of got in it and like said whatever she had to say, and told the producers, "Yo, keep her away from me because I just can't deal with her." So this is what I'll say about that. I feel like, based off the conversation, it seemed really unnecessary that it got to that level. I feel like if I'm out with my husband and something like that is happening, my husband is grown. My husband can for sure speak up for himself and take care of business on his own. I feel like my job as his wife would be to have his back, but that doesn't mean I got to jump all up in somebody's face and no, how dare you do that? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to step back and let my husband do what he needs to do. Now, I'm going to make sure my husband doesn't get hurt. And that may not be like physical or whatever, but it may be that, yo, I see some other people taking out cameras and recording, or I see somebody maybe about to call the police or something. I'm going to be like, babe, it's time for us to go. You made your point. Let's roll. That's going to be my role. And I feel like Katina, I don't know if her actions were the best. And also for Olajuwon to have that conversation with Lindsay and not Katina being the one talking to her, it seemed like Katina was holding on to that anger a lot longer than Olajuwon was. So now I've already talked about Lindsay and Mark. From Lindsay's perspective, we were just joking, ha ha, he, and all of a sudden it escalated, and I felt triggered, and I felt like he was posturing like he maybe was going to hit me. Again, as a Black woman, when you hear a conversation like this, and a white woman basically essentially saying, I was afraid, that can lead to a lot of exaggerated consequences for Black people. So it automatically makes you a little irritated, like, okay. But again, we weren't there and it wasn't recorded, so who knows the extent to, where things went. What I will say is, what I think we all need to remember is that this plane ride is the very first time that Lindsay met Olajuwon. Keep in mind, they all got married the same day, but none of them saw each other on the wedding day. So while all of the girls met up ahead of time a couple times, and the guys did too, the girls did not meet the other guys and vice versa until the plane ride. So my thing is, for Lindsay, yes, she's always up here. She's always at a 10. She's always very excitable and loud and all that stuff. I get that. But when you are first meeting somebody, you are supposed to kind of feel the waters, right? You're just meeting them. So you like jokey, kiki, whatever. That's way too familiar for someone that you do not know. Way too familiar, because it's not like you even know Katina like that. You've known her for a few days, boo, so you can't even really do that with her because you don't know her well enough to do that. You can say, oh my gosh, remember the bachelorette party? That was fun, that was crazy. But like, in terms of doing actual jokey stuff with her, you don't know her well enough to do that, which means you definitely don't know her husband well enough to do that. So it's a catch-22, because Mark kind of said something to her about it too, about how, sometimes you're up here and not everybody's up there with you. I agree with that, and I basically essentially said the same thing. You got to kind of meet people where they are, and you got to feel their energy. But what I fear happening, or not fear happening, but what I don't want to happen is that too many people tell her this, and she has it in her mind that she has to change completely. Because the person she is, Lindsay does not seem like a bad person. Seems like a lot, but she doesn't necessarily seem like a bad person. So I don't want her to lose a piece of herself. But at the same time, again, you have to kind of feel your way through a situation. I will say that I love the way Mark handled I love the way Mark handled the situation. He talked to her. He, in private, of course, and was like, hey, sometimes you can't be all the way up here with people. You got to just kind of relax, blah, blah, blah. And then he went and talked to everybody. He didn't go down there starting no mess. He wasn't immediately like defensive. He was just like, hey, I just wanted to have a conversation. I just wanted to apologize on our end. And I love that he said, I want to apologize for my team. He didn't say I'm apologizing for my wife. He made it clear we're a unit. I'm going to apologize for us. Because it escalated and it shouldn't have escalated. And Olajuwon apologized too. And I love that immediately they dapped up and there was no hard feelings and everything was everything. And again, from Mark's standpoint, I like that he really had Lindsay's back. but it wasn't in a way where he was like, for example, Eric and Virginia 2 seasons ago, where Eric was like belligerent and yeah, I'm gonna do this and you're right, you shouldn't talk to that way. Da, da, da. Granted, you should stick up for your wife, but you have to understand your wife's, her role in things as well. And I think for Mark, he took his time to talk to his wife first. He catered to her first and made sure she was straight. Talked her through everything, made sure she was comfortable before he met up with everybody else. So I really appreciated that he clearly let her know, you are my priority, and then the rest of the stuff. But you are my wife now. I'm holding you up here. Everything else will come down here. So I like that he got to show that for her. And I feel like she hasn't really seen that anybody do that. So she melted. Like, he is the best. He did the absolute best thing he could do in the situation. He made sure I was good and blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was sweet. And I thought that was cool. But Katina still has an attitude. And it's like, girl, I don't know. So that's pretty much what happened last night. I will say that I like Mark. I hope Lindsay doesn't lose her spark completely. Michael needs to be vulnerable with Jasmina. I like that Jasmina speaks her mind, and I like how comfortable they seem to be with each other. Steve needs to basically let Noi see his bank account so she can be comfortable. Noi, I have no issue. Noi, I think she's cool. I like their relationship. They're good. Chris got dealt a raw hand. Alyssa is bratty and a diva, and she's not that cute, and she should have never signed up for this show. Elijah needs to not try so hard, and Katina needs to let the stuff with Lindsay go. Like, girl, after 8 weeks, you don't have to see her again. Like, just relax, chill. And then also, from the producers, from the show in general, whoever makes the decision, the couples don't have to all get together as much as they did the past couple seasons. Yes, they're on the honeymoon together, so yeah, we're going to have drinks and all that stuff. After drinks, after having maybe one more dinner together, they don't need to be together again. The whole point is to get to know your spouse. How are you really getting to know your spouse if you're surrounded by other husbands and wives? So that's my 2 cents on it. Definitely let me know what you guys thought about the episode last night. If you did not watch it, I implore you to watch it. It's a lot going on. But comment below. Make sure you like this video. Share this video. What else? Click the notification bell. Subscribe to your girl. Like, let's get some more subscribers. I would love to get to 100 subscribers this year. I think that would be really awesome and amazing. But yeah, so that's my review and recap of Married at First Sight, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.